am Dolos, mistress of deception and trickery.
All that remains is your sacrifice.
You are more powerful than he can
Humanity
imagine.
has outstayed its welcome. The dead shall inherit the earth. Listen to the sound of my voice. Can you hear me?
Who's there? I can't see you.
My name is Dr. Salim. We've met before.
Dr. Salim, where am I?
You have fallen between the world of the living and the dead. The void.
I'm dead? No, I can't be dead. Deimos, I have to stop him.
And you still can. I'll explain as we go. For now, you must trust me. Think back to coalescence. The start of your journey. The beginning.
The beginning. It started at Coalescence Singapore in 2070. 10 years after the disaster. After virus 6115 began its spread.
Black Ops 3.
After the dead began.
Zombi modunu oynamamıştım zamanında. Buna bir göz atayım dedim. Türkçe'ye yükledim. Altyazısını çevirmemiştim. Sadece ana hikaye.
We lost comms with John Taylor's squad, another undead extermination team. Dead killers.
Zombi modunu hikayeli yapmışlar galiba.
Augmentations we were impossible to infect. We were trained to terminate the undead. Hendrix was on edge. We were in a quarantine zone, one of many walled-off areas separating humanity
2070 yılında zombi
built to
istilası.
keep the virus and the infected behind their wall, away from the rest of us. The undead weren't our only concern. The 54 immortals, a local combine who remained in the containment zone, were aware of Taylor's activity. This place was the epicenter of the epidemic. The 2060 coalescence disaster created the cursed world we lived in today. Any activity at this site would set off alarm bells. Either way, our troubles were only just beginning.
Sadece bir tane mi silah taşıyacağım? Normalde kalperde iki silah olması lazım. Herhalde sonradan açılacak, öyle bir sınırı var bunun. Çok değişik teknolojik silahlar var. Bu neymiş öyle? Mekanıyla mı savaşacağız? Silah da geç ateş ediyor.
Hendrix had a bad feeling about this. He wasn't the only one. I knew we shouldn't be there.
Biraz ağır bir silah bulmak lazım. Roketlerle saldırı. Buna işlemiyor. Roket falan bulmak lazım. Black Ops 3 gelecekte geçiyor. Cyberpunk gibi 2070 yılında geçiyor. Ha, roket buradaymış. Nerede o mecha? Turistik kıyafeti. 3 tane fütüristik Call of Duty var zaten. Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 4, Infinite Warfare. Ne oldu şimdi? Lan. Geri tepme zırhına hasar ver diyor. Önce şu roket savunma sistemini devre dışı bırakmam lazım. Yaptı. ...2070 yılında bunlarla savaşılacak işte. Kapıyı hackliyoruz. Her şey hackle açılıyor zaten.
Coalescence. Enhance yourself for a better tomorrow.
Post-apokaliptik 2070.
They'd been the forefront of technology, always wanting to improve the individual, the future of you.
Bize çok güzel bir gelecek vaat etmişlerdi ama bu her yer yanmış.
What went wrong?
The coalescence disaster happened. Virus 6115 spread throughout Singapore and strains popped up all over the world.
Virüs 6115.
Governments built these quarantine zones to house the undead, a way for the populace to ignore what was happening. 10 years
İnsanları
on,
zombeleştiren
and it
bir
worked.
virüs.
We put it out of mind. Ignorance was bliss.
What was so special about this operation?
It was supposed to be by the books. 5 years after our cybernetic augmentations, Hendrix and I were a well-oiled machine. Quarantine sweeps, recon, search and rescue. It's just what dead killers do. But we'd never been sent after one of our own before. John Taylor's systems had gone quiet. With our direct neural interface, we're hardwired into Winslow.
Adam konuşuyor ama sesleri yok. Niye böyle? Seslerini mi kıstık acaba? Konuşma sesi falan bir şey mi kıstık? Anlayamadım.
Observation knew if you were dead or alive. For Taylor to be neither, that was unusual. We located an EMF source and uploaded it to Central. It was a 54 immortal audio log detailing unusual activity
Herhalde
coming
bunun
from the server
konuştuklarının bir
room
anlamı
at the
yok.
lowest level of the
Onu
building.
dinlemiyor.
It couldn't have been more than a week old.
Boşa konuşuyor yani.
Probably why Taylor's team had
Yoksa
been
altyazı
sent to
falan çıkardı.
investigate.
Sadece biz
Hendrix
kendi
activated a
kafamızdan
recon
geçenleri
drone to scan
konuşuyoruz.
for life. We picked up a signal coming from far below. As we stood there in the atrium,
Bu Black Ops 3'ün derecesi gibi bir şeydi galiba.
and we were about to jump down the rabbit
Zombie
hole.
Chronicles. Hem bu silah iyi aslında ama bunu değiştirmeyeyim. Zombi oyunlarında makine tüfek kullanmak daha iyidir çünkü kalabalık geliyorlar. Önce zombi modunu oynayacağım, sonra da ana hikayeyi oynarım herhalde. Onun altyazısı vardı. Bu Black Ops 3 zaten Cyberpunk temasında, siber evrenler temasında bir hikayesi vardı. Simülasyonlarda falan savaşıyor. Cyberpunk'ı bitirdik zaten. Duvarlarda yürüyebiliyoruz.
Our drone picked up activity ahead. We should have known we weren't alone down here.
Kolay da ölmüyorlar ha. Hep şarjör değiştirirken sıkıntı. Aslında co-op oynamak lazımdı ama işte oynayamadık. Tek başına oynamak daha zor. Daha çok dikkatli olman gerekiyor. Arkanda olacak biri yok. NPC olduğu için iyi savaşamıyor pek. Sadece sana görevini anlatıyor işte. Yani zombileri temizleyince donor aktive oldu. Mermi de azaldı. Daha güçlü bir silah bulmak lazım. Zıplatıcı bir makinemiz de var. Gönül isterdi Modern Warfare 2'yi oynamak ama oyunu temin edemedik.
When man fled the virus, they left behind thousands of active robots. Machinery abandoned with one directive: kill the dead. Years later, they're still killing.
Burada robotlar var.
With decrepit programming,
Robotlar
somehow
da
humans have been
zombileşmiş.
added to their kill list, indistinguishable from our brainless counterparts. The strange behavior was observed in multiple quarantine zones. Another nuisance for us to deal with while on recon. We moved on.
Tam saldıracaktı, şarjı bitti.
We reached the silo's floor, but the signal came from lower still, below coalescence.
Şimdi robotlar mı gelecek? Bu robot, bu zombi sesleri meme olmuştu bayağı. Bütün memelerde bu sesleri kullanıyorlar. Böyle gereksiz yere bağıran, çığlık atan protestoculara falan hep bu sesi ekliyorlar. Feministlere falan. Böyle oturup çığlık atıyorlar falan. Mermim bitti. Hemen bitince bana silah hediye ettiler. Neden iki silah alamıyoruz? İyice zorlaştırmışlar yani. Silah da aşırı seri.
Did you have any inkling of
Doktor Salim.
what waited for you?
No. In hindsight, we should have put it together. But the fact of the matter, that day was supposed to be like any other.
Bir görüş tabii acayip.
What did you find below Coalescence?
A CIA black project. Project Corvus. Unknown to the world, and unknown to most people in the know. As off the record as it got.
Hey, Corvus
A
projesi.
redacted footnote in Langley's history book.
İlginç.
Part of me wishes we just turned back.
Why?
It would have been easier. For me. For Hendrix. For the world.
Is it such a bad thing? To want to be blissfully ignorant in the face of daunting adversity?
We didn't have a choice.
Those who find fate thrust upon them rarely do.
Ayıları toplamak gerek galiba. Düşmanın üzerine geldiği zaman kırmızı oluyor işganga. O biraz kendisi spawn oluyor. Kafadan vurmak lazım. İşte makinalıların en büyük sorunu yavaş olması.
The human testing lab. What awaited you there?
We found the truth. The cause of the disaster.
You are certain of this?
We didn't have the full picture. Not yet. But this was the source. We knew coalescence was where the virus originated, but residue of 6115 in the air left no doubt. This was where it all began. When the disaster happened, hundreds of thousands died instantly. And they were the lucky ones. Because when the rest of Singapore inhaled 6115, they changed. From the living into the living dead. These test subjects, they were linked together, connected with a direct neural interface. Their minds hardwired into the central server. Hendrix didn't like what he saw. You knew something was wrong.
İnsan beynini işlemci olarak kullanmışlar.
Made us what we were. It was down here in this room. We didn't know what happened, but the data didn't lie. Man did what man always does, playing God and fucking everything up. We, the CIA, man, we created these things. We changed the world.
How do you mean, change the world?
The Winslow Accord and the Common Defense Pact. We'd been engaged in a Cold War for nearly a decade. 6115 changed that. When the dead walked among us, we set aside our differences. For all of your conflicts, you and your enemy had two things in common. You're both human, and you both want to stay that way.
Was this the source of the sick?
No, but it looked like Taylor had come through. Our answers were still further down.
Normalde en zorda oynarım da işte bu zombi modu olduğu için zombiler gelip tek atıyor. Ayağa kalkma fırsatı vermiyorlar. Koop'ta olsa arkadaşın seni kurtarırdı. Aynı zombilerin sesleri zaten. Call of Duty 5'ten beri. İlk zombi modu Call of Duty 5'te çıkmıştı zaten. Orada vardı. Zombilerden çok şu robotlar çok korkunçlar. En iyisi koşmak.
When you found the server room, did you have any idea what you would uncover?
We couldn't have known. We found Sebastian Diaz, one of Taylor's, another dead killer, our friend. He'd linked himself to the CIA server, connected directly with the Winslow Accord systems. He was deactivating defenses for the undead quarantine zones all over the world. The massive walls containing the spread, keeping us from the undead. Deactivating the defenses would let the flesh-eating hordes loose upon the living. It would end humanity. We had to stop him. The only way to stop him now was by destroying the server.
Bu bölümü hatırlıyorum sanki. Normalde de vardı. Normal oyunda. Normal tüfeklerin şarjör değiştirmesi daha yüksek tabii. Neredeymiş bu soğutma çubuğu? Nasıl da tırmanıyor? Geri BM olmaz salla. Süper bilgisayar gibi bir şey herhalde. Birden dibimde spawn olmasalardı hasar veremezlerdi de. Her seferinde içine bir tane aldığında satacak. Ama çok kalabalık ya. Diğer adam nerede? Bombam da kalmadı. Burada çok kalabalık bir grup var. Bunlar canlı bomba gibi bir şey. Patlayıp duruyor ya. Neden 240p izliyorsun onu anlamadım. silah alacağım derken etrafımız sardılar. Kaçma böyle. Hiç affetmiyorlar. Neden açmıyor ama işte? Sebebi ne? İnternet hızından dolayı. Bence bilgisayarla öyle alakası yok. 240p açar, 400'ü de açar yani, 720'yi de açar. Tarayıcını değiştir. Microsoft Edge kullan falan, Opera kullan. Onların bilgisayarlara desteği daha fazla. Ben çok eski Windows XP bilgisayarda bile 1080 izleyebiliyordum. Değişik eklentileri falan oluyor onların. Hızlandırıyor eklentileri falan, onları araştırıyorum. Bir de bazı Linux'lar çıktı mesela. Onlar düşük bilgisayarlarda yüksek performans sunuyor.
Hendrix wasn't happy and let Diaz know that. He'd unleashed the dead upon the world. Hendrix knew what he had to do.
You needed to find out what he knew. What he knew about Taylor.
Interfacing with Diaz and accessing his memories was the only way to find him.
Ben chat'i okumak için açtım, bilgisayar çok iyi sayılmaz, o da çok kazan bir bilgisayar. Açıyor ama 1080.
That didn't matter. We had to know. Had I known what it would do to Hendrix. From the interface, Hendrix learned Taylor was trying to get out of Singapore. There wouldn't be much time before we'd be too late.
Tell me about the name. The name Hendrix learned.
The name. Deimos. The demigod of dread and terror. Hendrix, myself, we had no idea what it meant, but Taylor's team was obsessed with it. But more importantly, we learned our arrival on site wasn't a secret.
Ekran kartı önemli değil, ekran kartı bilgisayarda her videoyu izleyebilirsin.
Go Julan, leader of the 54 Immortals.
Entegre ekran kartı video izlemek için
to their credit,
gerekli işlemcine sahip.
Had they known. Well, I'm not sure things would have gone any differently. The Immortals had worried for years about another outbreak. This was the final straw, and contamination was a risk they weren't willing to take. They blew the supports and let the ocean flood the building. We needed to haul ass and get the hell out of there.
Windows 7'den ona güncellediyse sen onu geri Windows 7'ye geri düşür. Hatta Windows 7 Lite diye modifiyeli bir Windows sürümü var. Onu deneyebilirsin. Hızlandırıyor bilgisayarı. O zaman Full HD izlersin. Aleykümselam Elit. Çinlilerin bu işte bir bağlantısı var mı acaba? Bu virüsü Çinliler çıkarmış herhalde. Ki bu oyun koronadan falan önce çıkmıştı. Eleman nereye gitti? İlk zombi hikayesi olan Call of Duty olabilir, evet. Ama ilk zombi modu olan Call of Duty World at War'dır. Bu diğerlerine göre daha iyi bence. İlerlemeli. Öbür zombi modları da öyle bölgeni savun geç. Çok basit. Ben bunu zamanında oynamamıştım zaten. Sonradan çıktı bu. DLC olarak. Bunu alınca hepsi ölüyor sandım da o yüzden. Buraya da aldım bak. O iskeleti alınca hepsi ölüyor diye hatırlıyorum. Bu bastı etraf.
We needed to get out of there before the whole building collapsed. Hendricks had an idea. Flood the lab and let the water pressure jettison us out. Our lungs could take it. He just needed time to open the door.
Bir vakumladı ya su. Bir yere akıyor ama nereye? Kendimizi lavabo giderinde bulmayız herhalde. Mayınlar var burada. Hedefe kendisi yürüyor. Böyle su altı gibi yerlerde savaşınca 3 boyutlu bir savaş oluyor. Yukarı sadece önüne arkana sağına soluna değil, yukarı aşağıya da dikkat etmen gerekiyor. Normal hikayede böyle yerler yoktu. Aynı yerleri kullanmıştır ama yine de farklı bölümler de var.
And what happened then?
We got through it. We survived. Taylor's team was making their way out of Singapore. But we weren't giving up that easy. We still had a chance to catch up before the quarantine zone collapsed entirely. We couldn't make sense of what they'd done. Their motivations, their actions. There was no way to explain it. At least not yet. To figure that out, we needed them. And we also needed to get the hell out of Singapore. That was the day everything changed. That was the beginning. All right, Salim. I told you how this began. Now tell me why. How do I stop Deimos if I'm dead?
Your body is dead.
Ağacın
but your mind
bu
remains alive.
cyberspace'in merkezi gibi bir
I'm connected
olayı
to
var
your
galiba.
direct
Çok önemli bir
neural
ağaç.
interface in your
Bütün
subconscious.
cyberspace'in
To save humanity, you
enerjisi
must
bu
open
ağaçta
the portal.
toplanıyor.
With your body gone, the
Veriler.
only way to do this is to train
Dijital bir
your
ağaç.
mind.
Train my mind.
Relive the events preceding your last. Only then can you alter them, change them.
This... Now this is insane.
Let me show you. Think back to when you first met Taylor.
Yeni Zürih.
Think back to 2065.
2065. İsviçre.
You're on a train in Switzerland.
I'm heading toward downtown Zurich.
On Taylor,
That's him. Commander John Taylor. The first dead killer. The definition of determination. I was a rookie then. Fresh blood. There weren't many of us. There were more rumors about our division than actual recruits. They said we were engineered to be immune to 6115. That we couldn't get infected.
this was your first mission.
Yes. 5 years after the outbreak, most cities had at least one containment zone. But Zurich managed to stay outbreak-free. Now someone wanted to change that. Wait, this feels wrong. This can't be right. This can't be real. How are you doing this?
I am not doing anything. This is your mind. I'm the passenger, you're the pilot. But tell me, do you remember the train exploding?
No! Stop! Make it stop! Dr. Salim, what's happening? What's going on?
You must be calm. This is your memory, and you dictate the truth. But your mind can play tricks on you. It can deceive you, and it can lie. This never happened, but it nearly did. You and Taylor stopped it.
How can I see something that never happened? What the hell am I seeing? And why does it feel so damn real?
The human mind is fragile, easily swayed by an
zihni çok
incorrect
kırılgan.
recounting of events. This was one outcome your mind feared. Start from the beginning and take me through the mission. Once we organize everything correctly, we'll be able to find the truth. Tell me about the raid.
The raid. There was a Cathartist terrorist collective. They were planning something big, but they knew we were coming.
Stop. Don't rush through. Let us start with who was with you. You were not alone, after all.
Taylor. He told me they'd received a tip about the Cathartists. These undead sympathizers had sprung up around the globe in the years following the outbreak. They believed the undead were the next step in human evolution. To become undead was to live. The dead should inherit the earth. Crazy, right?
Was it only Taylor? Was there anyone else?
Sebastian Diaz.
The man we saw at Coalescence, who would disable the undead defenses.
Back then, he was Taylor's second in command. He would take point on the raid. Hostile encounters were expected with the undead.
Cathartist.
But that didn't seem to bother him.
İsviçre'de
So
ortaya çıkan bir terör
relaxed.
örgütüymüş.
The dead threatened Zurich. They were fearless. Didn't take away our own
2060'larda
fears.
ortaya çıkan bir örgüt.
If I was gonna learn my shit, it would be on the job. This mission was my training. For him, it was just another day in the life. Business as usual. And business was booming. What are these drops I keep seeing? I saw them in coalescence too.
It is your mind trying to help you through your memories. Weapons, abilities, powers. Use them or don't, but they may offer you a temporary advantage. Where did Diaz take you next?
We still have to get to the factory entrance.
Bakıyor füzeleri ya. Makine zaten şarjör değiştirirken hep ölmene sebep oluyor. Coldwar'ın böyle zombileri yok sanki. Ama son çıkan Call of Duty'deki zombi modlarını hep şey yapmışlar böyle. Açık dünya gibi yapmışlar. Bir kere bir girdim, hep Araplara denk geliyor benim. Hep Araplara denk geldi. Hep Araplarla oynadım ya. O yüzden ya istemedi oynamak. Canım. K44 Kalashnikov'un 2077 versiyonu. Hızlı şarjör, uzatılmış şarjör, hızlı atış. Dronlar varmış. Ne yapacağız bu dronları? Basıyorum ben de, flash atıyor. Askerlerin gelmesini bekliyoruz. Onlar da orada
The
bekliyor.
entrance was locked. We had to destroy a generator to get it open.
Onların yüzünden.
That was around the corner, with more dead standing in our way. I had an arsenal in front of me, but Diaz made it clear. He told me to run point on the ground. He was curious to see me think on my feet.
In a way, he was acting as your training.
Diaz wanted me to earn the name Dead Killer. And there's really only one way you can do that. I had support that day, but when you're out there in the real world, you're on your own. No backup, no reinforcements. Just you and the undead. I'd show him I was worth
Onlar
it.
güzelmiş. Keşke hepsini çalıştırsaydık. Onlar zombileri ezer geçer. Nasıl iş böyle ya? Zıplıyor öyle. Flash atınca ya hızları da yavaşlıyor. Ama kalabalık gruplara flash atmak lazım. Bir yanıp sönen bir şey var. Acaba onu kullanabiliyor muyuz? Vermedik. Ha. Erimiş demir var burada. Az daha üstüne düşüyor. Ama bu bildiğimiz barut değil bence. barut gibi yanıcı madde olan her şey kullanılabilir. Barutun alternatifleri de icat edilir. Elektromanyetik silah olabilir. Bunlar aynı mermi atıyor yani. Elektromanyetik ray silahı. Çok geriden başlar. Bu sefer oyalanmıyor. Aslında zombileri öldürmeye gerek yok. Infinite Warfare'deki silahlar daha teknolojik. Onlar hep böyle lazerli silahları vardı. Ben gene de zaten bu barut mermilerin çok fazla değişeceğini düşünmüyorum. Daha yüzlerce yıl bu silahlar kullanılır. Sadece daha teknolojik versiyonlar çıkıyor. Neymiş ya? Bomba attım, oraya gitmedi. Hep oraya toplandı falan. Yani gelecekte geçiyor diye illa ki ışın kılıcı mı kullanacak herkes Star Wars'taki gibi. Gerek kılıç olması bir hikaye. Işın kılıcı da olsa. Onlar sadece Jedi'ların duello silahı gibi bir şey var. Duello yapıyorlar işte. Jedi'larla Sith'ler kendi aralarında duello yaparken normalde Star Wars'ta bile ışın kılıcı fazla kullanılan bir şey değil. Şimdi onlar ön planda olsa da sadece Jedi Sith'ler gibi çok önemli kişiler kullanıyor onları. Cyberpunk'ta da silahlar balıklıydı. Dead Space'teki silahlar çok farklıydı. Hayatımda gördüğüm en farklı silahlar Dead Space'teki. Gerçi onlar da silah bile değildi. Aslında o adam mühendis gibi bir şeydi. Bulduğu endüstriyel kesicilerle yaratıkları kesiyordu. Onları modifiye edip silaha dönüştürüyordu. savaşında kullandığımız şeyler silah değil.
The Qatar's base of operations was just ahead. Once we were inside, we'd be able to figure out what they were planning.
Herhalde rüya gibi bir şeyin içinde savaşıyoruz. Siber evren gibi. Çünkü Black Ops 3'ün konusu bunun üzerine kurulu. Biz bir yerlerde savaşıyoruz ama rüya mı gerçek mi belli değil. İnsanların beynini şişe takıp burada simülasyonlarda savaştırıyorlar. Hatta hikayesinde 2. Dünya Savaşı'na bile gidiyordu. Ama 2. Dünya Savaşı'nda 2070 silahları kullanılıyordu. Böyle bir değişik bir ortam vardı. Ana gibi ama insanların beynindeki anıları bilgisayara aktarabiliyorlar. Black Ops'un konusu buydu zaten. İnsan beyinlerindeki siber evrenler. Merhaba baba. Belki gelecekte böyle bir teknoloji olur. İnsanlar gördükleri rüyaları internette paylaşır. Ya da isteğe bağlı önceden tasarlanmış rüyaları görür. İnsanları uyurken de çalıştıracaklar ya. Gündüz normal çalışıyorsun, gece uyurken siber evrenlerde çalışıyorsun. 24 saat. İnsan beyninden 24 saat verim almak için. Uykuda çalışmak yorar mı? İnsanı bilmiyorum. Ama saçma sapan rüyalar görmektense mantıklı işler yapmak daha mantıklı olur.
Salim, what's happening? I can't.
Orijinal hikayede robotlar bizim kollarımızı, bacaklarımızı koparıyor.
I can't. I don't understand.
Tell me what happened.
O yüzden bizim adam, bizim karakterde robot fobisi oluşuyor. Çünkü robotlar kollarını koparıyor. Sonra kendimize robot kollar takıyorduk.
Your mind is wandering into the unknown. Your subconscious finding fears, dreams, doubts. Stay with me. Stay with my voice. You're still in the factory. You were about to make a discovery.
Yes, there was a console ahead. Diaz told me to interface to get access to their network. We had to find out what they were planning.
Had you ever extracted information with your DNI before?
No. Nothing can really prepare you for it. The flood of data, endless streams of infinite information, it's instantaneous. And it's an eternity.
What did it show you?
The Cotardis had a contact. An inside man at Coalescence World Headquarters in Zurich. We had his address, ID number, security details. The last of which was most telling. He had extensive security clearance at Coalescence. Specifically, he had access to 6115, the virus.
Then let us do just that. Let us find him. Take me to his apartment.
Black Ops'ta o beyin yıkama olayları burada nöral bağlantılarla yapılan bir şey. Beyne virüs yüklüyorlar falan.
It didn't go as planned. He was ready. I had to get
böyle teknolojilerin en büyük problemi beynine virüs bulaşma tehlikesi var. Beynine virüs bulaşırsa zombileşir.
Who else was there? Taylor?
Taylor. Yes, he discovered our mark had just unleashed the virus into Old Town, turning civilians into the living dead. But Taylor didn't lead that day. No, he had Overwatch. He was our eyes in the sky. Sarah Hall, however. Sarah Hall, the team's intelligence expert, was with me. She had point. She found our mark. Apparently his supply of 6115 was 10 times what we initially believed. Enough to turn all of Zurich into a city of the dead. Hall had been with Taylor as long as Diaz. He practically raised her, trained her. He made her. With Taylor in the sky, Hall was our feet on the ground. She didn't have as much patience for fresh blood as Diaz. She was direct and focused. And right now she was about to give me a lesson in target acquirement.
Man of War. Şimdi robotlarla savaşıyoruz. İlk kez zombi dışında bir şey. Düşman çıktı karşımıza.
This guy didn't mess around. He had DNI just like us. He was hijacking any robotics he could, sending them after us.
Dronlar saldırıyor. kaçtı ya. Takip görevi de kimi takip ediyoruz? Ben takip ettiğimiz kişiyi bile görmedim. Şurayı gösteriyor ama.
What happened when you caught
Yukarı
him?
çıkmamız gerekiyormuş zaten.
Mark was bleeding out after that fall through the ceiling. Time
Öyle
wasn't
hareketsiz
on our
durunca
side.
ben de onu
We
takip
needed
ediyordum zaten.
information.
So what did you do?
I would do what Hendrix did in Coalescence. I had to interface with him, extract the information from his memories.
You make it sound cold. You would be diving into this man's mind. A dangerous task. A terminal task.
I know, but you have to make it cold. Detach yourself from the person. It was our first time performing this sort of interface, and Hall wanted to get that point across above all else. It's nothing personal because there is no person. They're not humans. They're data banks for pilfering.
Even though it would kill him.
Even though...
Bunlar insan değil, sadece
It's
veri
ironic,
bankası.
really.
Ironic.
Hall teaching me how to raid a person's mind. It wouldn't be long before... Well, we know what happens to Hall. What I
Gelecek temel oyunlarda hep kadın askerler
But
ön
we do
planda
what we
oluyor.
have to do. This was the world we made. If we don't do it, if we can't sacrifice the individual, how do we protect everyone else?
That is a heavy burden to press upon the individual.
If not us, then who? This was what it was about. Being part of an undead extermination team. Being a dead killer. It's about making that sacrifice.
İşte adamın beynine
Making
böyle
the
bağlanıyoruz.
ultimate sacrifice.
Anılarını falan hepsini görüyoruz.
What did you find? What secrets did your databank have to share?
The Cotardis group had set up shop deep in the subways. Whatever they were planning, the answers were there.
Information that would stop the bomb. Save millions of lives. The greater good.
Yeah, the greater good. Taylor joined us. If we were going to move on the subway, we had to act fast. The attack, whatever it was imminent.
And your mark? What happened to him after your interface?
He was gone. Dead. The tunnels. We tracked down the Cotardis operations, and they were putting up a good fight.
Who joined you in the tunnels?
Taylor oversaw the operation, but the lead on this was Peter Moretti, the last of Taylor's team, an explosives expert. He was the guy you wanted when you needed to blow shit up. He was damn good at blowing shit up, which made him perfect for the fight ahead. Fearing discovery, the Cotardis Collective had an armada of undead and patrolling robotics guarding the facility. I won't lie, it's strange seeing Moretti like this, knowing what happens next. He was crucial to finding Taylor, to finding Deimos.
You mean the refineries in Cairo?
He had a pivotal part to play. He just didn't know it yet. What he knew then was the way to the hideout. He took point.
Ne oldu? Oyun bir donar gibi oldu ama anlayamadım. Ha, bu iskelet alınca Tek mermide patlatıyor hepsi. Daha önce oynadığım başka bir konseptte şey yapıyordu. Etraftaki herkesi öldürüyor. Lan. Saçma sebeplerden dolayı ölebiliyoruz bu oyunda. Ya beğenmedim zaten. Ve çıkamıyorlar herhalde. Neymiş ya? Bak robotların kafası koptu hala ateş etmeye devam ediyor. Acayip şeyler çıkmaya başladı. Zombiyi vuruyorsun, üstüne bomba gibi bir şey çıkıp geliyor. Çok değişik şeyler gelmeye başladı. Zombiler güçleniyor abi. Az önce sinek gibi bir şey geldi. Ne olduğunu anlayamadım. Sürekli geliyor. Kaçmak lazım. Tek bir zombi öldürüyor zaten, bunun olayı yok. Arada robotlar falan gelirse. Ama az önce sinek gibi bir şey gelmişti değil mi? Biraz zorlaşmaya başladı. Önceden havadan vurunca hemen ölüyordu. Şimdi ölmüyor. Havadan vurduğum halde ölmüyor. Zombiler de güçleniyor gittikçe. Zorlaştırmışlar yani. İlerledikçe. Zombiler işlemiyor artık bu silah ya. Olmazsa zorluğu düşürüyorum ya. Böyle olmaz. Her zombi bir şarjör mermi boşaltıyorsun anca öyle. İlk başta koşarak gelmiyordu mesela. Zaten üzerine geldiyse yanına 1 metre yaklaştıysa kesin öldü. Bu kadar mermi böyle vuruyorum ölmüyor. Bak iskeleti aldım, bunların hepsini vuracağım dedim, olmadı. Kovalıyor çünkü. Güçlü bir silah lazım. Sniper. Yani. Bir almak bir hataydı ama öylesine bir deneyeyim dedim. Belki küçük olur. Bunlardan mı? Az önce onlar bizimdi. Silahların nişangahları çok güzelmiş. Minigun gibi bir şey vardı. O çıksa daha iyi. Gayet değişikmiş. Üçlü atış yap.
Katarda's group had planted a biochemical bomb containing 6115 on a maglev train. They were going to detonate it in downtown Zurich. Their plan was to turn the whole city as we feared. Taylor said there wasn't much time, but I'd done good. For all the on-the-job training I'd been through, I'd done all right for myself. All that was left was to find the train.
Good. You didn't even need my push to the final memory. You connected events and arrived at the truth.
And now what happens?
Now we set things right. Through your mind, you realign the events as they occurred.
And by doing this, if I work with you and remember the events leading up to Zurich,
you will be able to open the gateway. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let us finish here first.
Çok acayip. Dokununca yok oluyor. Zaten normal hikaye zombiye dönüştürmüşler işte. Biraz değişik ama. Evet. Robotlar zombileri hapsetse daha iyi olur. Normalde bu camlar kırınca oradan askerler geliyordu. Öndeki daha iyi. Nişangah zaten vurulmuyor ya.
found the bomb car. The whole thing was wired up, primed to blow. There wasn't time. I couldn't disarm it.
So what did you do?
Remember how we can't get infected? Some of the rumors about us were true. That's why I was there. Why we make the sacrifice. I used my cybernetic abilities to reverse the polarity of the train car and detach it. The car unleashed the gas. It's safe inside the city.
And you lived?
I didn't know I'd make it at the time, but I turned out all right. It wasn't the last time I cheated death.
Zaten işlemcin ne kadar yüksekse o kadar iyi hacklersin. Sen yapmıyorsun hack'i, yapay zeka yapıyor.
No. No. I remember this place. What are they doing to me? Dr. Salim, what am I seeing? Taylor. Why can't I move?
You must let this go. Stay with me. Relax. Come back to me. Come back to the void.
Come back to the void.
Can you hear me? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm back. I'm ready to continue.
Good. Now that you've begun conditioning, let's return to 2070. After coalescence collapsed. You were trapped in Singapore.
With quarantine zones unlocked all over the world, we couldn't raise WA command. If we were going to escape, we had to improvise. We turned to the 54 Immortals. They were dangerous and unpredictable, but they were no enemy of ours.
Hendricks trusted them?
What choice did we have? If we wanted out of Singapore, we had to go through the biodomes. We had to go through the Immortals.
Biodome Facility, Singapore.
Getting in was easy. Getting out would be another matter entirely. At the time, the biodomes were the safest place to be. With the outbreak of 2060, the Immortals seized the marina and dug in. The biodomes were impenetrable. Dead-proof. Hendricks had a contact, Danny Lee. He was slimy as they come, but he could get us transport. Not only that, Taylor had beaten us out of the biodomes, and Danny claimed to know where he was heading.
They had this information.
Danny was convinced Gojulan had info on her central server. They were doing us a solid, really. But that didn't come cheap. They wanted food, water, weapons, reinforcements from the Winslow Accord. We agreed to their terms, with no idea if we could honor it. The Immortals were a people of their word, and quite efficient in punishing those who did not act the same. Danny was in a bad mood. The Immortals weren't exactly happy to see us. They knew our part in what had happened in Coalescence. Danny went so far as to accuse us of opening the containment zones ourselves. Hendricks persuaded him otherwise. But that didn't change how I felt. We were there. We had our chance to stop Diaz in the server room.
You cannot blame yourself for what is out of your control. There were powers in play far greater than your own. Powers with far more control. You were a pawn in his game.
You mean Deimos? Well, as it turns out, we weren't his only pawns in the room.
How do you mean?
You can get us a ride out? Sure, I'll give you that. But claiming to know where Taylor was? Know that saying, too good to be true? Something was wrong. There was something malevolent, malicious. I called Danny out. I wasn't too happy with that. But then again, we assumed he was just scared. The outbreak now occurring worldwide was unprecedented. We were all scared. Up till now, we'd become complacent. We got comfortable. The dead had stayed in their cage, and we kept pretending nothing had happened. Taylor and Diaz changed that. Pandemonium, riots, civil war, countries were already tearing themselves apart, in many cases before the dead even reached them. Danny wasn't scared. He was stalling. And it only took us another moment to find out why.
The ghost siblings. Danny set you up.
No, no, no. This
Greetings.
was different. It was their eyes. Hollow, empty, void of life, like they could see right through me. They all had it, just like Diaz. It was only later we found out all higher-ups in the Immortals were outfitted with D&I, like us. If only we'd known the part our own technology would play. The thing about dead killers, though, there's always a plan B. We had a robot squad in place, ready if the situation took a turn. Gojulan bolted before our robots got her. She was headed for the server room in Cloud Mountain, the only place we could put in the call from transport. It became quickly apparent that uninvited guests had joined the party in the biodomes. The dead were flooding into this safe haven. It was about to become hell on Earth. We had to move. We had to get to Cloud Mountain.
Her seferinde tabancayla başlıyoruz. Neyse artık o zaman burada bitirelim şimdi. Sonra devam ederiz. Bir yerden sonra sıkıyor ya aynı zombiler. Öyle vakit geçirmek için ideal. Sağ olasın Lord. Haydi görüşürüz.